Man, oh man, what did we just watch? Just finished watching Novak Djokovic defeat Monfils, and what an interesting match to say the least. What a disappointing match if you are a Monfils fan. Actually, I'm really good friends with. He's actually a coach. He coaches with us. His name's Matt Mitchell, and he loves Monfils. Like he lives for Monfils, and it's got to be the hardest thing. It's got to be harder to love Monfils than it is to be a Georgia Bulldog and Atlanta Falcon fan, like I am, because I mean the guy just drives you nuts. And tonight was like again, tonight was Monfils' entire career encapsulated. He is so talented, and he walks onto the court today to play Novak Djokovic 0-14. He's never won a match against Novak. And tonight he had every opportunity to come out and win because the match started out. I took some notes. The match started out first set. We're going to go through the first set. Match started out where Novak was clearly very nervous. He was missing a lot of easy balls. We know that, interestingly enough, and I think that probably Andre was the main decision maker. Andre Agassi is Novak's coach, if you don't know. They decided to play this match in the heat of the day. Novak had an option to play this at night. He could have played this during the night session, but they chose, they had, since he's a legend, he got to choose to play during the day. And the whole theory was you're going to be fitter, stronger, faster. Monfils is going to wilt. And I'm not even sure, even though it turned out in Novak's favor, if Novak was ultimately happy with that decision. Towards the end of the match, he looked very frustrated. But he comes out, the heat's obviously a factor. It's over 100 degrees. I think I even heard that there was like 140 or 50 on court once you're like, when you add the cement. And he is missing a lot of shots. He is double faulting. The new serve, this is where we really saw the new serve kind of break down. We can see when he gets nervous that serve maybe breaking down. He was double faulting a lot and hitting the serve very slow. He also, in the very beginning of the match, obviously when he was going up the line with a backhand, was not able to really pull the trigger with confidence. So he comes out really shaky. Now, in typical Monfils fashion, every time Novak would lose his service game, Monfils decided that he would turn right around and lose his service game. He would basically double fault it right back, play one amazing point, and then the very next point he would, spray one 10 feet wide. It's just incredible. Then what ultimately happened at the end of the first set was that it was just a battle of who didn't want to win the set, and ultimately Monfils finally stepped up and won the first set. And then the second set was going even for a while, and then they had one 24-point rally, and Brad Gilbert said it. When that 24-point rally happened, that is when the match ended. It went back and forth, and Monfils, I don't even remember who won. I think Djokovic won, but either way, every time after that, Monfils was basically holding himself up by his tennis racket. Like literally, he was leaning on his tennis racket, bent over before every single serve, and was just looking like he did not want to be out there. And I know that it was hot, guys. I know it was hot. I know that it was, some people were saying it was inhumane conditions. Even McEnroe, who is one of the toughest people out there as far as just very judgmental people, kept saying, come on, let's give these guys a break. Let's put them inside. It was interesting, though, but that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen on a day like this. It's the Australian Open, guys. We know it's going to be very hot out there. And Monfils just gave the set away. In fact, even on one point, which I could not believe, Novak hits a double fault, and Monfils challenged the call, praying that the ball would be called in, because he did not want to play. He just was walking side to side. And I thought McEnroe made a very good point when he said, Monfils uh, of course it's hot, but when you can channel your energy at the right times, that's how you can become a top 10 player every single year, year in and year out. Monfils displayed enough energy, which I'm going to get to at certain points, to actually win the match if you really think about it, but he just didn't use it at the right time. It's like Monfils does not enjoy being up. The guy doesn't like to be ahead. I'm convinced after tonight that, of course, everybody wants to win a match, but he is so uncomfortable, especially if he's playing somebody who's a really good player. He is so uncomfortable being out in front in the lead. He does not enjoy that situation. The pressure gets to him, and then whatever outside element that could be used as an excuse, subconsciously he goes there. I don't think he's consciously looking for the excuse or the way out, but subconsciously there's something within him that is looking for a way out. And the heat was the answer tonight, because everybody was hot. Even at the end, Novak started to hunch over, but he was near the finish line. And it's one of those matches where you got to fake it till you make it. You looked at all the courts. Del Potro, who's 6'6", you know he had to be feeling it in the heat, and yet he's walking around. Of course, they're taking their time in between points, but he's walking around. He's conserving his energy. But every time it was ready to play a point, he played the point. And in between points, he did not let on to his opponent that he was really struggling. Monfils was making it clear to Djokovic, who was down a set, and it was kind of even for a while in the second set. But you could clearly see Djokovic had to be telling himself, okay, if I just hang in there, there's no way Monfils is going to beat me, because he looks like he can barely play out there. Monfils loses the second set, basically tanks the third set away, loses 6-1, and then they head into the final set, the fourth and final set. And all of a sudden, Monfils has a second wind out of nowhere after looking like he can't even finish the match. Then he's running around, he's sliding on the court, he's making these great gets. Just frustrating to watch, because if he would have just did that towards the end of the second set, he might have actually won tonight, because Novak was feeling it. Novak was trying to act tough and look like he was okay. But if you looked at his face was beet red. And if you remember early in his career, when he had trouble with the heat, he would always breathe through his mouth a lot. He would always breathe through his mouth, and he was doing that tonight. So he was having trouble breathing, and he was not feeling good out there. And even towards the end of the match, when Monfils started to run and hustle, it was really bothering Novak mentally, because I think what Novak was thinking is like, I'm just trying to win this match and get off the court. Now all of a sudden this guy's going to decide that he's going to try 100%. It's like, why doesn't the guy just give me the match? He obviously doesn't want to win the match. So why is he trying at the very end when I want to get off the court? In fact, Novak got so frustrated that he started to yell at the crowd, because he heard some noises that he didn't like or whatever. So he just started to yell at the crowd. So you could see that it was getting to him. And if Monfils would have picked his spots at the right time, he could have won tonight. If he would have just bared down towards the end, if he could have found a way to bear down towards the end of the second set, he might have been 1-for-15 against Novak. Instead, he did what he always does. He shows people, Monfils, yeah, right. Fire says Monfils gave up. It's annoying to watch. Monfils does what he always does, guys. He puts on a good show. That's all you can say about the guy. He puts on a good show. Even the very last point, for some unexplainable reason, there's no way he's going to win the match. And on the last point, he runs side to side, does a 10-foot slide on the hard court, and then Novak hits behind him and wins the match. So, that's why the guy doesn't get results that he should. And he should get results for as good as he is. But he does not time things well. He does not time. He can't put it together mentally and just go, okay, I'm dying out here. But if I can just show my opponent that I'm not dying out here and bear down and look tough, I might be able to grit this thing out. Maybe if I win the second set, Novak might give up. But he doesn't even see that. All he does is what he always does, is he finds a way to challenge these top players, but not be a real threat to even win. Why Federer is given night session yesterday. Rafa played even. Well, Federer is always going to get the night session, guys. You know, why is Federer getting the night session? Because he's Roger Federer. Roger Federer gets what Roger Federer wants. And Novak could have had the night session tonight. Interestingly enough, they chose to go out there during the heat of the day. I think that was very heavily influenced by Andre saying Monfils will give up. And tonight, I think you could say it worked to win this match. My concern is Novak. Here's my concern going forward for Novak. He expanded a lot of energy out there tonight. So you know that he hasn't played competition like this for 6 months. He's always been questionable in the heat. And we don't know how his elbow is going to respond and all that kind of stuff. I think it would have been better, actually, even though he won this match, because Monfils will figure out a way to do whatever he's going to do, even under the roof. He would have figured out a way to lose the match, and Novak would have won. It would have been much easier on Novak to be able to play at night. So it'll be interesting to see what this is going to do for his body and his mindset. And plus, he showed the rest of the field that he is weak right now, that he's not 100% fit. Not saying that the guy's not in shape, but he's not 100% fit for Grand Slams right now because he is becoming very winded right now. Had Novak again, Novak had a very rusty backhand tonight. That's absolutely right. So here's what if you're a Novak fan, you are nervous about. What he just showed the rest of the field is he's not fit for 5-set matches in the heat. And that's not a knock on him. It's just that he hasn't played in so long and he's coming back. So too many double faults for Novak. That's absolutely right. But Monfils, I think, had like 13 or 14 double faults. He double faulted a lot. And his second serve was very weak. Now, thank goodness for Novak, Monfils was still, even though Novak was throwing in like 80-mile-an-hour second serves, Monfils was still standing back towards the stands. He didn't think to go, oh, Novak's got nothing on his serve. Let me stand in close. You can see Monfils can absolutely pound the ball. For a while there, Monfils was hitting the ball much harder than Novak, dictating points. He could have done that right off the second serve and really intimidated Novak, because Novak obviously was very nervous and off rhythm hitting the second serve. And towards the end of, I think, what was it? And towards the end of the first set, when he was getting tired, his head kept bobbing down. It looked like he had like a 50-pound weight on his head. So he was feeling the heat. He was feeling the nerves. And Monfils did not make him pay for that. But you can bet that Federer saw that Nadal saw that. Whoever saw that, who can beat Novak, they're seeing, okay, second serves, I got to step in. Novak's nervous. He is not in the shape that he usually is for these Grand Slams. And when he gets nervous too, you can see even when he was hitting some winners against Monfils tonight, I thought that his finishes on his stroke looked tight. I thought he looked tight on his finishes. Even he hit some winners, and I was still thinking that was a really tight stroke. So, if you're a tennis player out there, you know exactly what that's like to not be what they call match tough. You can be practicing all the time, but if you're not going to tournaments and playing matches, and you start to get put under stress, you get really tight to hit out on the ball, and that's what Novak did. Do I think Novak can reach the quarterfinals? What I think about that, Rohan, is yes, because you also never know how he's going to respond after this. The next match, I think he should be fine this next match. And so he might have an easy win. And sometimes you need these tough matches to kind of wake you up, to kind of feel what it feels like to be under stress and come through. You typically don't go through a Grand Slam and play your best in every match, and to be able to play like Novak did tonight and win relatively comfortable, even though it was very uncomfortable in the heat. I think that is a good sign for Novak, and he could very well still be fine in this tournament. But you have to have some question marks about the guy, because we saw that when he was clearly nervous tonight. Let's see what they said. They should have given Federer day session and Novak night. Novak, guys, he had the option to play at night, and he chose to play in the day. And what I was saying is, I think Andre Agassi had a lot to do with that, just thinking about the mentality of knowing that Novak's a fighter, Novak's a champion, and Monfils is somebody who will, if there's an excuse out there to be had, he's going to find it, and he's going to use that. He basically milked the heat. He as a tennis player, do you want to win, or do you want everybody to feel sorry for you? It looked more like Monfils wanted people to feel sorry for him tonight. And then at the very end, he had another a magical heroic second win that he typically seems to come up with when the match is pretty much over. So we'll see. But to answer everybody's questions out there, I think, Novak, obviously after watching tonight, he's not the favorite. He's certainly not the sharpest. We saw the rust. We saw the nerves. There's lots of question marks. But going for Novak he's a champion. And you can get a scare early in the tournament and then use that to your advantage and build momentum on that. Even last year, Federer had a very shaky Australian Open, but then when he won the tournament, he just like mowed through people. How far can Novak? Here's what I feel about anybody who's a Grand Slam champion. He can go all the way, but he's going to have to play a lot better. The second serve is going to have to somehow get a lot more brave. He not only is he double faulting, he's putting in second serves at 8 miles an hour. Monfils is standing towards the stands, so Monfils wasn't taking advantage of it. But if he's playing Federer, even though Nadal likes to stand back, Nadal will hit a big heavy ball back. People are going to crush that second serve, and that's my thought. What do you guys think? What do you think about Novak's performance tonight? Is this showing everybody that he maybe is not going to go all the way this year, that he's not really ready to win a Grand Slam, or can he use this to his advantage and recover and win another match and play his way into the tournament? Champions know how to play their way into the tournament. The way Rafa is playing, he will mow through Djokovic. Yeah, Rafa right now, playing the way he is, if all things stay the same, Rafa would definitely beat Novak, certainly today. I mean, Novak didn't play well enough to beat Rafa today, to beat Roger. I don't think he played well enough to beat a Del Potro. Dominic Thiem, if he played well, could beat him. Which, by the way, I want to go on a little rant before I call it a night. What do you guys think about the Australian Open coverage? I'm watching on ESPN2. I'm extremely disappointed with it. They kept talking about how Dominic Thiem was in big trouble. He was down 2 sets against Kudlow tonight. And then they just kept talking about what a match it was, and then they didn't show the match. They showed like 3 points, and then they're showing all these matches that I don't think anybody cares about. It seems like the coverage is just terrible. They'll talk about a match that I think most people want to see, and then they don't show it. It's like, what is going on with that? What do you guys think of the coverage of the Australian Open? I think their timing of who they're showing and when they're showing, and they'll mention things I think most people want to watch, and then they just don't even show it. I'm wondering if you guys feel the same way. That's how I feel about it. All right, let's see. It is 2:30 in the morning, and I've got a full day tomorrow, as maybe some of you do. So I am going to hit the hay and get up. We'll be back tomorrow with another post-match from Pete. Make sure you check out Matt's Coffee Break Tennis. It will be on tomorrow at 11 a.m. on his channel, the Coffee Break Tennis channel. And so make sure you check that out. I'm in Australia, so there is 7 tennis watch. Okay, so you can watch 7 courts. Yeah. ESPN has an American bias. Well, that's true. They have an American bias, but even at some points they were showing people who were not American, and people, it just didn't seem very interesting. So if you like this video, guys, what I would love you to do, if you're new to our channel, subscribe, because we would love for you to subscribe. What we do is we cover a lot of the popular tennis stuff going on out there, and we also do tons of tennis instruction. In fact, If you look at anywhere on some of our other videos, you will see our instruction. So make sure you check that out. Is Djokovic second serve not good enough? Yes, Djokovic second serve is definitely not good enough. I'm watching the Direct TV multicast channel. Maybe I should look at. I do have Direct TV. Every time I look up Australian Open, 2018 Australian Open, they just give me one choice. Maybe I'll look for that. Thank you for telling me about that. I need that because they are not doing a good job on ESPN2 showing what I want to see. 701. I'll check that out. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Everybody have a good night. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out Matt's Coffee Break Tennis tomorrow. We'll be back with post-match with Pete tomorrow. Take care.